Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us at the MIDD 2023 Clinical Track Program. My name is Tom Sun. I'm the VP of Strategic Consulting Services, Accounting Division, Simulation. It's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Raj Madabushi from FDA. He's currently Associate Director for Guidance Scientific Policy at the Office of Clinical Pharmacology at the US FDA. And his title is to update us on the MIDD program within the FDA. And so before the presentation starts, a couple of his housekeeping remarks. By participating in our conference and have a Q&A with us, you allow us to contact you for follow-up later on. And also, if you have any questions during the session anytime, please use the Q&A tab on your dashboard. And you also can write on the chat for any technical questions. So without further ado, Raj, welcome you for this presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom, for the nice introduction, and glad to be back here at this forum, second straight year, and happy to share with you an update on the MIDD paired meeting program. So quickly, an outline presentation I have set up is to provide a background for some of those who may not be fully aware of the MIDD aspects, touch upon the MIDD paired meeting pilot program and our experiences, and close out with what is in store for us in PDUFA 7 as part of this MIDD paired meeting program. So real quickly, setting up of some common expectations here. For those who are not aware of model-informed drug development, essentially is the application of exposure-based biological and statistical models, which are derived from integration of a wide range of sources, such as preclinical and clinical data sources, and their application is meant to address issues in drug development and a regulatory review setting. The figure on the right is at a high level the various kinds of applications and methodologies that are involved. Many of you would be aware of these approaches. This is not comprehensive, and I'm pretty sure with time there will be more petals that will be added to this cartoon here. Of note, as we are talking about model-informed drug development, from an initiative perspective, we are predominantly focusing on this operational definition, and this excludes complex adaptations, Bayesian methods, and other computer-based simulations that determine the operating characteristics of a registration clinical trial. Essentially, there is a defined scope here as we are talking about this. Why are we talking about model-informed drug development? Well, under the 6th iteration of Prescription Drug User Fee Act, model-informed drug development received a boost when it was included as one of the regulatory decision tools to advance drug development and bring efficiencies into decision-making. Historically, we have known that modeling and simulation has been part of drug development. With this recognition, there was a specific added boost for this space of regulatory decisions tools. And as part of this, there were several commitments that were put forth to advance model-informed drug development in a holistic and an integrative manner. These included increasing capacity and expertise, stakeholder engagement to identify best practices, and also make progress on publishing guidances and best practices and any manuals of procedures or practice. Most importantly, though, PDUFA 6 provided an opportunity to conduct a pilot program for issues that are pertaining to model-informed drug development, and this unique opportunity that was afforded under PDUFA 6. So this aspect is going to be the focus of the rest of the presentation, where I will walk through details about the pilot program, our experience, and then close out with what we may have in store for future. So real quickly, model-informed drug development paired meeting pilot program. So essentially, the paired meeting pilot program is a joint endeavor between the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research and Center for Biological Evaluation and Research, between Office of Clinical Pharmacology as well as Office of Biostatistics and Epidemiology in CBER. So it's a joint program. This is an agency level program. And the focus of this particular program was to create a dedicated forum for regulatory interactions on model-informed drug development applications. Of note, you will remember that there was a prequel to this program of end of phase 2A meetings, which also was specifically focused on application of modeling and simulation issues. However, that was specific to a phase of a drug development program. Here, we learned and built upon those exercises and experiences to be able to address issues throughout the spectrum of drug development. And initially, when this forum was envisioned, the key focus areas that were put forth were the ones which were usually the most common ones: dose selection or optimization, application of clinical trial simulation to address various decisions during drug development or regulatory review, as well as mechanistic safety evaluation. These were the starting topic areas to gain experience for this particular regulatory engagement. And those programs that would be granted a meeting under this particular pathway would essentially receive a pair of meetings associated with that particular drug development program, such that there would be outputs that would filter into the drug development continuum so as to realize some of the benefits of applications of model-informed drug development, whether it be bringing key efficiencies or add additional value with respect to the development program or regulatory decision making. So this, in a nutshell, is how this program was envisioned, and we went ahead and stood up this program and operationalized it. And I have presented on this previously also. What I will do over the next few slides is to share the experiences under the entire duration of PDUFA 6 when this particular program was launched. So this was launched in 2018, and during the entire PDUFA 6, we received close to around 70 requests from various sponsors to be engaged in this program. And if we look very carefully under the hood, we see that ever since the launch in 2018, this was launched in 2018 March, with starting in June of 2018 with formal interactions, and we have seen a very steady uptake of this particular program over the years, and we have met the quota expectations that were stipulated and went beyond that, essentially. So this is a busy slide. I will try to walk through here. What you will see is that there is a steady uptake of the meeting requests that were granted, which are in green, which are face-to-face. Starting 2020, as we started receiving more and more requests, we started entertaining a slightly alternative forum for regulatory engagement in the form of written responses only. And you can see those starting from 2020. And approximately around 25% of the meeting requests that were submitted were denied for engagement in this particular program due to various reasons, whether they were out of scope or they were premature, or we just did not have bandwidth and we had met the quota expectations and went beyond, and we just did not have the bandwidth to entertain those. All in all, this shows that there was a tremendous uptake of this program, and it was sustained throughout the duration of PDUFA 6. And we were forced to actually reinvent ourselves to be able to accommodate more and more programs as time went by. The next slide, I'm going to share with you our experience at a bird's eye view level. And this is a table that I have pulled from our recent Office of Clinical Pharmacology 2022 annual report, which also goes into detail about this program. If you had not had a chance, I would recommend you accessing that through the link that is made available here. So real quickly, what is this table showing? Looks very busy, but there are three major points I would like to make as part of it. One, if you see the list of the therapeutic areas, uh, currently counting around 15 different therapeutic areas, very clearly this program is applicable across a wide spectrum of therapeutic areas. It's not like uniquely limited to one or two therapeutic areas. So there is a broad applicability for this kind of forum of regulatory engagement. Second, through this program, we have afforded up to 60 face-to-face meetings with sponsors. But more importantly, what we have seen is that it requires a lot of effort internally to be engaging the various decision holders to get on the same page so as to have a productive and a meaningful conversation. So these are very resource intensive kind of exercise, almost more than 1:2 kind of a ratio. And lastly, even though we had granted only 8 written responses only, by the end of the PDUFA 6 cycle, we ended up with around 13 written responses. And some of these actually demonstrate the clarity in our responses, wherein some sponsors, after taking a look at the responses, they said that they had gotten the clarity in the response and they did not think that they needed a follow-up of a face-to-face meeting after we provided the preliminary responses. And also we were flexible with respect to when the second meeting would happen, and the transparency that we exhibited during those interactions definitely benefited, and people chose a lesser intensive form of interactions because they got the results that they wanted. And clearly you can see there are a lot of repeat customers across different therapeutic areas that we are seeing. And all these interactions, if I were to put in a nutshell, what was the impact either in drug development or review, at a high level, this afforded interactions on various technical aspects of modeling so that the modelers on both sides were able to get on the same page. And these informed critical strategies for dose selection, optimization, or risk mitigation. And also get on the same page on various alternative approaches for therapeutic individualization. And most importantly, these engagements provided a pathway for approval of new doses, dosing regimen, formulations, etc. So they afforded a pathway for something new that was not envisioned as they went into this program. And from a regulatory review perspective, we were able to show within the 5-year time frame 4 approvals directly coming out of this exercise, which I have listed here, and I have also provided links to the labels. Essentially, in each and every instance here, we were able to uh, inform the labeling without the need for a standalone assessment or minimal clinical data, and be able to leverage quantitative clinical pharmacology approaches to the maximum extent here. This is our perspective, but we also heard from our industry partners. There was a publication in CPT in 2021, which shared the results from the International Consortium for Innovation and Quality, also called as IQ. And they had, at a high level, if I were to summarize, the benefits that they stated was that there were significant savings in time, either due to accelerated timelines or reduced sample size, allowing for faster completion of trials, and most importantly, in instances, getting to the right dose at a faster pace. Uh, some sponsors were able to demonstrate direct cost savings up to 70 million. In other instances, modeling and simulation approaches were able to substitute for the need for clinical evaluations, and also path to potential new indications based on the information that was generated. One of the aspects that we heard in this particular publication was that key alignments were obtained on various aspects, whether it be on technical aspects or study design aspects, and most importantly, various modeling functions or groups within the companies demonstrate value of some of their activities through these interactions, given that we were able to get onto the same page. So they gained a lot of internal traction also. And lastly, time and again, irrespective of the outcome, whether they resulted in introducing more efficiencies or they resulted in sponsors needing to have to do additional work, sponsors appreciated the direct feedback, the candor, the transparency, and clarity in technical expectations and data needs, and also were impressed with the scrutiny or the detailed scrutiny that came about from the agency reviewers. So we heard all positive things. So what this demonstrates at a very high level is that under PDUFA 6, when we were provided this opportunity for having this kind of a regulatory engagement targeted for model-informed drug development approaches, we were not only able to stand up a program and operationalize it, but within a short span of 5 years, we were able to demonstrate the value of having such a forum for regulatory engagement, and also demonstrates the benefits of having such forum on drug development as well as for regulatory decision making. So where does that leave us? We had this pilot program, and since then we have had the 7th iteration of PDUFA. And what are the implications for the paired meeting program? So at a high level, if you were to look at the performance goals and procedures that are listed for this PDUFA reauthorization, I have pulled out some excerpts and have bolded some key aspects. Clearly, we were able to, through the negotiations, able to secure that we would want to build on the successes of the model-informed drug development program. And there were specific stipulations. There were 2 commitments that I have highlighted here. One is announcing the continuation of this regulatory avenue, and the second one, a longer term one, was to actually engage the community in identifying the priority focus areas for future policy, guidance development, as well as stakeholder engagement by the fiscal year of 2024. So you would have noticed recently on 11th of January, we actually put out the Federal Register notice announcing the paired meeting program. And what I will do is, over the next few slides, I'll touch upon some of the common aspects and some of the additional changes that we have envisioned going forward in this 7th iteration of PDUFA. At a high level, this is not a pilot program anymore. So we are treating it as a very normal or routine with some nuances here. We will still continue to have this program on a quarterly basis. It's still, we have bandwidth problem to be able to entertain on a continuous fashion. So we will still continue, and as and when we reach that kind of bandwidth capacity, we would hope that we would go with more frequency. We'll still continue to engage the cross-center MIDD selection committee to help review the meeting requests and provide recommendations. At a high level, the eligibility criteria remains exactly same, not much difference. There are small nuances, which I'll touch upon in a couple of slides. And the topic areas that we initially said that which were prioritized, they will be there, but we are open to topic areas beyond those also. What I'll do is, over the next 2 slides, very briefly touch upon some of the high-level changes worth considering. The first one is around the process-related aspects. So, want to start at the outset, the major aspects of the process remain unchanged. Essentially, it is still similar to a Type C meeting. In fact, it is same with respect to the timelines as that of a Type C meeting. That is, the meeting package now would be expected 47 days. in advance of the sponsor meeting. Previously, it was 30 days, and the preliminary responses would be provided 5 days before the sponsor meeting, so that the appropriate preparation will be there to make the sponsor meetings that much more interactive and efficient. The second big aspect is we had noticed that in many instances, our first meetings were so effective that sometimes the sponsors asked for a delay of the second meeting or sometimes even canceled. So what we have done is we have tried to formalize that kind of flexibility, which is essentially need-based. And the second meeting will happen 60 days from whenever the meeting package would be made available. And it would essentially follow many of the elements of ensuring that we will provide preliminary response and also the meeting minutes for this follow-up meetings. The key fundamental aspects of these interactions that were under PDUFA 6 will still remain. These are going to be multidisciplinary engagements, and these will be led by the Office of Clinical Pharmacology. The second aspect I wanted to bring to your attention, and you will also find it in our Federal Register notice, is with respect to content and format of the meeting information package. While 95% of the expectations remain same unchanged, we are emphasizing on incorporating elements of risk-informed credibility assessment. And we have engaged in various forums about our interest with using this to inform the interactions around MIDD applications. And most importantly, we are focusing on these four key elements: the question of interest, context of use, and the last two, which pertain to credibility assessment, which are model influence and decision consequence. These to be clearly articulated so as to help inform the conversations. We believe that using this approach will help standardize terminology and streamline assessments, will aid in communication and increases transparency so that we can get on the same page, and which eventually has the potential of de-risking and also advance the application of MIDD in a very consistent manner. So those are the key highlights that I wanted to bring to your attention and shine light on. So all in all, in summary, we feel that we were able to successfully stand up a regulatory interaction forum and demonstrate the benefits as part of the pilot program on PDUFA 6. And we look forward to PDUFA 7 as it provides opportunity to build on the success that we achieved under PDUFA 6. And it is something that we as a discipline should take advantage and make sure that these successes that we have been able to achieve are sustained over a large period of time. And as part of this exercise, given that this is a multidisciplinary activity, the program has been able to bring together subject matter experts within the agency, within CDER, across multiple different offices that I have listed here, as well as CBER, and create an engagement. Last time we had a rough count, we had connected close to around 150 to 200 people within the agency to have worked on various submissions. And definitely this is an enterprise level program which could not have been achieved without the efforts of a lot of people. I have listed some names here, but definitely acknowledgement goes to a large number of people beyond those who are listed here, as well as the pilot program, as well as the MIDD paid meeting program now participants also. With that, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm open to taking any questions if time permits.
Thank you very much, Raj. Very insightful, exciting update for us. So obviously, we're most excited to know that MIDD program is no longer a pilot program, that it's been kind of integrated in as a part of the PDUFA 7. And you did mention in your talk about that due to the capacity limit, that some of the numbers granted may be limited. So under the PDUFA 7, what's your thoughts or what are your observations? Would that be expanded to more opportunities to the sponsors in the future?
Yeah, excellent question, Tom. we are really excited, enthusiastic. The staff gets excited whenever they see MIDD meeting requests. At the same time, it's unfortunate that we were not able to secure dedicated resources for increasing capacity under PDUFA 7, as there were other focus areas that our industry partners wanted to prioritize for this iteration. So it's a constant tension. If we do not have the appropriate capacity, we worry that the quality will fall, and thereby it will negatively impact the program. So we will have to make some key value judgments on prioritizations.
Sure.
Which ones we are able to significantly contribute, those which will make bigger differences, probably those are the ones we are going to prioritize much more. And as our capacity increases, we are very much open to going beyond whatever the quota limitations. In fact, under PDUFA 6, we went beyond what was expected, meaning bare minimum we could have done 2 per quarter, but we always punched above that number. And there is enthusiasm within the Office of Clinical Pharmacology and Division of Pharmacometrics to be able to engage in this. So we will take it 1 quarter at a time, and as and when capacity increases, we would open up more and more. Our best case scenario is to have it on a continuous basis, and hopefully that day comes sooner than later.
Great. Thank you for your input on this important question. I think everybody probably trying to ask. And so we need to end this session very shortly, but we still have some questions wanted to ask you. So
Sure.
I would like to remind our audience, please to join us again 10 minutes after 2 o'clock Eastern time in US time, Eastern time zone. Raj will rejoin us again, and so at that settings that we will provide more Q&A opportunities to ask him about the MIDD questions and PDUFA 7. Thank you so much. We're gonna sign off for this section, and we're looking forward to everybody to rejoin again.
Thanks
Thank you.
again. Look forward
Thank you
to
very
having
much.
this discussion.